Hi there, my name is Sidney Shapiro. We're going to look at a few easy and simple ways to use Microsoft Excel to analyze and manage your data. Welcome to our quick data evaluation tutorial. We're first going to cover some basic steps of how to use Excel and how to put in some of the formulas, and then we're going to look at some practical examples. The first thing you have to know is that if we want to highlight a range of cells, we have to tell Excel which cells we're looking at. And to do that, it's pretty simple. All we do is equals, bracket, A1, and you can see the first cell is already highlighted, and then I type in A4, and it's going to highlight the entire range. So A1 colon A4 highlights A1, A2, A3, and A4. If I press enter, it's going to tell me nothing because that's 4 different values that it's trying to put together. In order for us to actually, let's say, add those numbers together, we need to type something else in called sum. Sum, I'll just go and drag down A1 and A4, and this is going to add them all together. Press enter, and it equals 10. So it's doing 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, giving us 10. So let's look at an example of that. If we have Tim has 4 points, Jim has 5, and Bob has 7, we want to figure out how many points people have overall. We'll type in sum, bracket, select the fields that we want to add together, and once those cells are selected, in this case it's B2, B3, and B4, or we do write B2 to B4, press enter, and it will give us the total of 16. Next we'll look at average. So average, we simply type in equals average, bracket, and pick the numbers that we want to average. So we'll select those, press enter. So here, just to nice it up, I'll put it on this line over here, and I'll write in average. Now you see I can move the formula around, and it still keeps the same B2 to B4 like I see up there in the formula bar. Here I'll go to Format Cells, and I'll pick number, and I'll make it 2 decimal places, and press OK. And now it will give me 5.33 is the average for our 3 scores. Let's add in a few more fields that we could maybe use for our purposes. So let's say we'll put in age, and we'll put in, okay, so each participant has a different age, and we can move these guys back here. I'm just doing Control X and Control V, or you could also do Control C and Control V to copy and paste. I just did cut and paste. And let's find out what the average age is. Okay, so all we do is the same thing. We press equals, average, put in a bracket, highlight the 3 ages, close bracket, and it turns out the average age is 15. If we wanted to do more ages, we just select a larger bracket. Or the cool thing is that let's take everything over here and let's move it onto the side. So we'll move it a few spaces down. Okay, so if I want my table to keep on calculating, I could go into here and change average age from B4, from B2 to B4, from B2 to B10. Now you'll notice that in that box, most of the cells are empty, right? So it's still 15, but as I go forward and add new participants in, the numbers will keep on updating in the average age box. So this way it allows you to expand as it goes forward. It's just important to remember that each one of these boxes has the same field, so it's calculating out of the same number. The next thing we'll look at is standard deviation. And to calculate the standard deviation, I went in and typed in STDEV, B2 to B4. It took those 3 numbers and gave me the standard deviation, or the difference from the mean. I decided to get a little fancy, so I put everything into a little box on the side, and we could use this box to make graphs or to just get numbers that we could use in a report. So far we have 3 participants, 3 ages, and 3 scores. Let's find out how many participants are there. It's easy to count if there's 3, But if we have a whole bunch, it might be difficult to scroll back and forth to count them. So let's find out number of participants. And the nice thing in Excel is if you click on the box that says merge and center, wrap text, it will just put them into the same box like that. Merge and center is when it combines two boxes like this, but we actually want to put a value in there. So the next one we're going to do is counta. So I'll press equals counta bracket, and we'll pick the names, or we could pick the whole list of names. Okay, so right now we picked cell 2 to cell 15. Excel's going to go in and say, how many entries are there? And they could be anything. There could be an X, you see that turns to 4. It could be a B, it could be something else. And whatever's in there, it will automatically check between 2 and 14 how many entries are there. And here we have 3 entries. So it's going to give us the number 3. We could do a lot of calculations based on the overall population and the average score and so on. This could also be really useful. For example, if we said, how many participants gave their age? And we'll do the same thing we did before. We'll click on it and press wrap text. So we'll do the exact same thing we did, counta bracket, and we'll just check a number of cells. Now, let's say you were signing people up and you got information from most people, but you didn't get information from one person, then that would show 2. So if it was less than the overall number of participants, you know that you have a problem. And this is a good way to check if people gave you contact information or allergy information, or remember to give you their postal code. It identifies spaces in the data where you need to go and fill that back out and check in with them. All right, let's look at the next example. We did a few updates. So we added a participant, Sue, who's female, 15, and her score was 6. Our total score now is 22. The average score is 5.5. The average age is 15. Number of participants are 4. And how many participants gave their age? There's 4 of them. Okay, so the next one is we'll find out how many males there are and how many females there are. Again, that's easy to do in our list, but if we're interested in doing this on a really big set of data, some of these tools are really handy. So we'll type in male and female. So to do this, we're going to tell Excel to only count if a particular criteria has been met. So I'll type in equals Countif bracket, same thing we've done already. We pick the range. So in this case, I'll just pick the first 10 cells or so. And then I press comma, and we have to tell it what to look for. So if we want male, we type in M, which matches what we have in the column, and press enter. And it's going to look through and it's going to say there's 3. And we'll do the exact same thing for female. So Countif bracket, we'll pick the range, first 10 squares. It could be as many as or as few as you want. And we'll put in the criteria F, close bracket, enter, and we'll give us 1. Now, if we add another person, so we'll call her Peggy, F, see, I will automatically change the ratio, right? So now it's going to be 3 and 2, and all the numbers will change as we keep on adding people in. The cool thing about this is that if we make graphs based on these analysis numbers, those will update automatically too. So when we're showing our stakeholders or we're writing a report or you want to use those graphs somewhere, they're automatically updating as these numbers update as you add more information. So a couple other things. Let's look at, for example, percentages. If I do equals 5.5, which is our average score overall, divided by 10, because we're giving a score on the basis of 1 to 10, that's going to come back and give us 55%. So we know the overall average score is 55%. If it doesn't give us a percentage, all you have to do is right-click on it and go to Format Cells, and then just change that to percentage and pick the number of decimal places. We could do the same thing for the percentage of males and the percentage of females. So if we do equals the number of males divided by the overall number of participants, when we press enter, it will give us this number 0.75, and we'll do that for the other one as well. The other one's going to be 0.25. To change those into percentages, we just highlight them and go to Format Cells, and we'll click on percentage, and press OK. We could even get rid of the decimals and press OK. And that will give us some nice numbers. From here, if we're interested, we could do a chart, for example. And that chart will just pop right in here. And this will basically give us the breakdown between male and female. And we can just relabel it. So the last thing we talked about is Countif. And we could ask a lot of other questions. So let's get rid of male and female. Let's say we want to make a chart telling us who's 14, who's 15, and who's 16. How many participants are of these ages? So we could do the same thing. We could say equals Countif, and we'll give it the range of ages. So we could actually go down farther. So we'll continue to update in the future. Type in a comma. It's going to say, what's the criteria? And we'll type in 14. So if it matches 14, it will come back and give us an answer. And it turns out there's one 14-year-old. I could do the same thing here. Countif. I'll pick the range. So I'll do the first 10, comma, put in 15, and it'll tell us there's 2, and so on, right? It's sometimes possible to go in the corner here and drag down, and it will give us the same thing. The only problem is that it says there's 2 16-year-olds, which is not the case. And if we look in here, it's going to turn out that, first of all, the numbers were offset, so we have to fix that. So we'll just highlight these numbers and change them to be the correct set. And the second thing is we have to change this number from 15 to 16 because the formula was copied down. Once we do that, everything goes back towards the way it should be. So if we click on this one, it will look at that whole set. If we click on this one, it will look at the whole set. And we click on this one. And another example of this would be if we want to, for example, look at allergies, we could simply put in how many participants have allergies. So we could write, so we make a column called allergies from our intake sheet, and we type in allergies, and then we'll write yes, and we'll write equals Countif, bracket, and we'll select the entire range, comma, and this one will be yes. So we type in yes, and it'll tell us one person does have allergies. And for the other group, we'll do the exact same thing. Countif, we'll pick the range, comma, we'll write no, and it'll tell us 3 participants don't. And again, we're able to just take these and then build a graph on the percentage of allergies, yes or no, to give you a visual representation of what percentage of the population has allergies or a particular condition, or just to check our data to make sure that everything is good. So in this next example, we're going to look at a logical test. So we want to find out in this column if the people passed or failed based on their scores. And for our example, we're going to do if the score is 6 or above, they pass, otherwise they fail. So we'll type equals if, bracket, and for the logical test, we'll pick the score. And we'll say if it's greater than or equal to 6, then we'll put a comma. If it's true, we'll say pass. Otherwise, we'll put fail. And these 3 parts are separated by commas and have quotes around them. I'll press enter. So right away, it tells me fail. Why? Because it says if D2, which is 4, is greater than 6, 4 is not greater than 6, so it goes over to fail. I'll just take this and drag it down. And here we see that the numbers that are equal to or greater than 6, like 6, pass. 7 passes, but 4 and 5 fail. And the cool thing is we could take this and drag it down all the way to the bottom, and it says fail because there are zeros. But if we go in and add random numbers, they'll automatically update. You see that our score up at the top is also updating because we set it to be a larger box. And the neat thing is that we could count now how many passes and fails are there, learning what we already did using counta. We could write Countif. So if we want to know how many people passed overall, we could go equals Countif, bracket, select the range, comma, and then our criteria would be pass. and it's going to tell us there's 5 people that passed. And this is automatically generating. So we're layering over one command on top of the next to give us really nice data. So if we did pass and then we did fail, we could build a nice graph that would be auto-updating at the same time. Well, that just about wraps it up for this lesson. Thank you very much. I hope you learned some interesting tips and tools and commands for how to sort data, such as gender, age, scores, averages, and so on. Thank you.